Okay, today we're going to look at how our tinctures are made. We're going to take you through the basic process. It's really quite straightforward, and we're going to be making a 1 to 5 traditional tincture prep. It's as simple as choose your herb. Today we're going to use ashwagandha, withania somnifera. Just like a cooking show, we've already weighed out 100 grams. We've got our 100 grams here. Now, we add it to a glass jar. Nothing more complicated than that. We use glass jar. You don't want to use plastic at this stage because you're going to be setting alcohol in it. You don't want to leave it to sit in alcohol. So into our glass jar goes our 100 grams of herbs. We scoop it in. Usually for making really big tinctures, we've got a large funnel that we can use. And there we go. Because we're using 100 grams of herbs and because we are making a 1 to 5, we therefore add 500 mils of alcohol. Now what we do is we start with 95% alcohol, we dilute it down to 40%. Each herb is going to have its own optimal extraction concentration of alcohol. For withania, somewhere between 35 and 40 is going to be our best choice. Pour it in here. And what we've got is a very small bit of withania tincture. What we do from here is we always label it and date it, and then we take it, we add it to our shelves, and then 3 weeks later, it turns into Korean red ginseng. 3 weeks later, we get our finished product. This one's not finished yet, but it's a nice example of how it looks as it's macerating. And what we want to do is every so often, probably every few days, we give it a good stir, a good shake, and then we put it back on the shelf. So here's an example of our ginseng. Here's an example of St. John's wort. So you can see the difference between a rooty tincture and a leafy tincture. This one much more saturated with the alcohol. And here we've got our press plate, our canister, and our filter bag. This is going to be what we'll use primarily. This is the jar, of course, it will drain into, and a little bit of leverage we get from our hydraulic jack here. Next step, we take our tincture. This is a nice looking black cohosh, ready to go, all set for entry into the press, pouring it through. You can start to see that liquid already coming through that fine mesh bag there. Give it a little shake, just get things moving, makes it easier to get it out of the jar. And we'll pour the rest in. With some of the leafy herbs, we use a spatula to really get that through. Sometimes we may even have to press it twice, but with the black cohosh and the roots, that's pretty easy to get through our press. From here, we slide it back and we lower down the press plate. Some presses, this is all you'll do. You'll bring the press plate down and that'll still give you a pretty good extraction. You get a good amount of pressure on that. So we get that nice and tight, and from here now we can use our jack. This is really going to help us get the most out of our herbs. What we'll get about 100 extra mils from doing this extra step in the process. So you can see it takes a little bit of extra time and a little bit of extra muscle as we get down there. But what we'll end up with is a really good extraction and some nice dry herbs. We'll take a look at those right now, taking the bag out. We'll see our herbs nice and dry, and what we make sure we do with all our herbs, of course, is these all go into compost, so we have really very little waste that comes from the process. Nice and dry, very well extracted herbs here. After that, we've got just a little bit left, so we'll use that hose. That's just a simple hose we use to extract it, and a very fancy all the way down at the bottom there, handmade top to help us drain that directly into the jar. We'll then label that as black cohosh, so make sure we get that done right away. Don't want to lose that. And here we've got our finished product, a nice looking dark black cohosh tincture. And in the end, after we've sat our withania, you can see it starts off very light in color, and what we get in the end is a nice, dark, rich ashwagandha tincture. From there, we can do whatever we want with it. We like to put it in these fancy bottles here, and we have it on the shelves behind us, of course. or downstairs we've got it in these large bottles where we dispense the larger amounts for practitioners. And that's pretty much it. Making a tincture, not complicated. It takes a little bit of time, a little bit of love, but something you can definitely do yourself.